Right, so as we all know, golf is hard, so you don't want to make it any harder by using the wrong equipment. Right, well, stay with me because in this video I'm going to show you how to spot a few telltale signs that the equipment you're using might actually be hurting your score. That's a nice looking shot. Okay, so I'm gonna go and get my divot. Obviously, I'm gonna repair this divot because that's good etiquette. But one thing I want you to do is when you are repairing divots, don't miss out on a good opportunity to learn a little bit about your golf equipment. If you come down here and take a look, looking at my divot here, that's exactly what I would want to see. It's about $1 in length and it's very even side to side. So I'm really pleased with that. That gives me the indication that my club, now I'll tidy it up, gives me the indication that my club is soling out correctly on the floor from a lie angle point of view. So wherever I'm presenting that face, I'm going to get a true reflection in terms of its launch direction of how this club should play. However, when you look down and see your divots, if they look a little bit like this, chances are you need to go to your local pro and get your lie angles checked out. If you're looking at a divot that's got a little bit more depth on one side to the other, and that's quite noticeable, there's a very good chance your lie angles are inaccurate. Furthermore, if they look like this kind of skinny slither, that's another really good indication that your lie angle may not be where you want to be. That's going to affect your launch direction, and as such, it's going to affect your dispersion. So make sure you don't fall foul of that little telltale sign. So here's another telltale sign that your equipment choices might actually be hurting your game, and it's problem holes. Do you have that one hole on your course or a course that you visit that's always that card wrecker, you can't seem to get through it? Well, for me here at the Caversham, the 16th is one of those. Every time I've come here, I've had a little bit of a problem. So looking down the fairway there, I've got a bunker right in the middle of the fairway. In fact, we've got a couple, but the first one is the one that causes me problems from this particular tee. It's about 280 to 285 to get past. That's a Sunday best driver for me in terms of carry. So if there's any headwind at all, I'm struggling to make that carry. If I then go down to 3-wood, well, 3-wood's just going to go straight into it. It's right at my carry distance of around 260, so that's a bit of a problem club. So if I want to hit big clubs on this hole, I'm going to have to go left or right of those bunkers, which brings a little bit of jeopardy into play of the hedges on the right and left of the fairway. Now, ordinarily when I've come here, I would go from driver, 3-wood, down to my 4-iron, and hitting a 4-iron off a hole of this length would just leave me too far in and make my second shot become a problem. So what I do when I play here and when I study golf courses before I go and play them is look for holes like this, be it with a problem in the middle of the fairway or a dog leg that you're going to run out of room with certain clubs, and make sure you've got a club that will cover the distance you need. So for example, here I pop in my driving iron, which gets me around 250 yards from the tee. So I'm laying up short of that bunker. I'm taking that hazard out of play entirely, even if I hit my very, very best shot, but I'm not leaving myself too far in. So make sure you're not making those mistakes on the golf course. Make sure you've got the equipment, the bag set up to cover the problem holes and the things that could trip you up. Right, so you might think there's not much can go wrong with your equipment in your short game, your chipping and your pitching, but truth be told, you'd be wrong. I see a lot of mistakes here, particularly with people like myself who play a lot of golf in the UK. I think we've arguably got the most changeable ground conditions of any golfers out there. In the summer, we've all seen it. We can play off bare hard pan that feels like playing off the motorway. Now we're here in November at the beautiful Caversham Golf Club. There's been a bit of rainfall, the ground gets a little bit softer, and that demands a little bit more precision in strike, and it demands some thought on the equipment you're using. So I've got a little 50-yard pitch shot here. I'm on a relatively tight bit of fairway, but it's quite soft underfoot. Now I've got a 6-degree bounce Callaway wedge here, which is quite a low bounce wedge. Now, if I just play this shot, I mean, I've struck that quite well. I've got away with that reasonably well there. But when you've got a low bounce wedge like this, when you've just got 6 degrees of bounce on the sole, in soft conditions, it puts a real premium on your strike. If I hit that a millimetre fat, there's a very good chance it would only get halfway to the hole. So When the ground gets a little bit softer, it's really worth considering going up to a higher bounce wedge. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, well, I don't want to buy 2 wedges. I don't want to have 2 wedges hanging about. In truth, that would be my preference, and that's something that I do, but I get my equipment free as a tester, so I understand your point there. So if you don't want to do that, I think there's another good option, and this is, funnily enough, what Scotty Scheffler does. So Scheffler has a very, very low bounce lob wedge, so 60 degrees, around 4 degrees of bounce. But then he goes up, his next wedge is a 56 degree, but he's more into double figures of bounce here. So I've got a 54 degree here at 14 degrees of bounce. So the angle gets a lot steeper between the back edge and the leading edge. That back edge acts like a little bit of a rudder through the soft turf and gives you that little bit more margin for error. Yes, you might have to play a few shots with a slightly different loft to what you might be used to. However, I think it's worth it for that extra insurance from the sole. Now this counts for bunkers as well. We all know wet sand and dry sand and fine sand and coarse sand, if you're playing different courses, reacts differently. So if you've got a couple of different options in your wedge arsenal, that's really a good way to beat those changeable conditions. Right, I hope you're enjoying the video. If you are, if you could just hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, that really helps us out. And get in the comments down below. Let me know if you've made any horror equipment errors that have affected your game. Okay, well that was annoying. It was all too familiar. Does that happen to you? You think you've hit a good putt from long to mid-range, it just pulls up 5 to 6 feet short. Well, there is obviously a potential for human error here, whereby you're just not hitting it hard enough or your speed control is not good enough, but it could also be a telltale sign that your putter's not set up correctly for you. And specifically, I'm talking about your loft here. It is crucial to get your loft on your putter to match your stroke type and the conditions you're playing on. So for example, if you have too much loft on your putter, the ball can come off with a little bit too much backspin and skid too much, and it won't reach the full potential of its roll distance. Similarly, if you don't have enough loft on your putter, the ball can get stuck in the grass. It doesn't get above the grass quick enough on the green and start rolling, which again will rob the ball of energy and come up short. So keep an eye out. If you are consistently coming up short, it's worth getting your putter loft checked. And I've got a very easy way to do this on your own with just yourself and your iPhone. So what you want to do is you want to get your phone out, set it up, rest it against 2 T-pegs, face on to where you're putting. If you can put a cross or a line on your ball with a Sharpie pen facing that camera, what you'll notice is when you go in slow motion, film it in slow motion, if that cross or the line that you put on the ball is staying very much in the orientation it was in for the first foot or so of its roll, the chances are your loft's in a good place, so you don't need to worry, and you can blame your lack of ability and lack of speed control for coming up short. However, if you see that ball oscillating backwards and the cross rotating like it's got backspin, there could be a very good chance you've got too much loft on your putter, and that's something you'll need to address. And you'll also see, if you've got too little loft, you'll probably see the orientation of the cross moving a little bit, but moreover, you'll see the ball bouncing a little bit through the grass before it sets off on a true roll. So this is a really good way of getting to grips, getting a feel of if you have got your loft right. It's worth checking before you start blaming yourself for your lack of ability. I thought that was a good swing and it's just set off wonky. Have you ever been in that situation where you think you're putting good swings on your iron shots, but they're just not starting off in the direction that you were expecting them to? You're looking up and it's coming out of a different window. Well, that can be another telltale sign of an incorrect lie angle. So essentially what we want when we come into impact is this club soling out flush to the ground, because then the loft points exactly where the face is pointing. And what I mean by that is you could come in with a perfectly square club face, but if your lie angle is wrong and you're 2-toe up, so you can see if this club face is pointing squarely at the camera and it's sold out flat on the ground without opening or closing the club face at all, if I just get the lie angle wrong, you can see how that loft's now pointing off to the left there for me, or if the lie angle is 2-toe down, it's pointing off to the right. So getting your lie angle is absolutely crucial to getting that start direction right on your golf ball. And a good way you can check whether you're in a good place is if you grab a golf ball, one of your practice balls, and a Sharpie pen. And also if you've got one of these line me up things, that can be really useful, but it doesn't necessarily need that. Pop that on your golf ball, pop a nice fresh Sharpie line on that golf ball. Then if you just get in behind, set it up so that golf ball is nice and vertical on the ground where you're going to strike it. And then relatively soon after that, you get in there and you strike that golf ball. Because that's fresh on the tape, do you want to come in a bit closer here? I've hit it out the heel, but you can see how almost perfectly vertical that is for me. So I know these lie angles for me are really, really good. If you see any of this left to right tilt on that line that's left on the club base, then you know you've probably got some lie angle issues which are affecting your start direction. So you need to get into the pro shop and have a chat to your local pro about getting that fixed. While we're on the putting green, I want to talk about another aspect of the putter that might be costing you strokes, and it's to do with the alignment. We see so many different alignment cues available today, from two balls, from top lines, from flange lines, to dots, to no lines. So how do you know which one's right for you? Well, there's a few ways you can go about this. Probably the most prudent way is to go and book a fitting with your pro, who will put you on something like a Quintic or a Sam Putt Lab, something like that, and can actually quantifiably measure which putters you aim better than others. If you haven't got access to that, however, it's very easy to get on a putting green, maybe go into your pro shop and ask if you can just borrow a couple of putters. You don't even have to hit any putts with these, so don't make your pro worry about that. But what you can do, take a friend out to the putting green, get them to take their phone with them, get yourself set up over a 6 to 10 foot putt, relatively straight, and aim bang at the centre of the hole. So get different alignment aids, put the first one down and get yourself aiming bang at what you think square to the centre of the hole is. When you say go, they take a picture. Refer to that picture and go and see how close to centre you are. Then move to another style of alignment aid, whether it was a top line to start with, move to a flange line, then move to the two ball, then move to a dot, then move to no alignment aids. And just cross-reference how well you line those clubs up. It's not a perfect science, but it will give you a really good indication of what style of putter works better for you, for your eyes, because we're all very, very different. Make sure you're checking that out, because you can put the best stroke on any of these putts you like. If you're not pointing in the right place to start with, you're going to hole very little. Right, so there you have it. I hope that was helpful. I hope that's given you a few indicators of how to spot those telltale signs your equipment might not be working for you. Let me know in the comments down below, have you fallen foul of any of those, and let me know if you fix it. I really want to hear about it.